coffee. Coffee now!
So Steve Quayle will join us at least until the bottom of the next hour to go over this entire grid and who the different power blocks are and where he sees them going. But it's funny, when I wanted to get him on about a week ago, when we talked to him, he first said, I want to go on about basically about the same topics, about the domestic control grid, the foreign mercenary troops, the InfraGard systems, how MSNBC is preparing. This is what came out of some Secret Service contacts that I confirmed 2 years ago. Race war. And that's why MSNBC and CNN are like, you know, whites are the devil, go after them, they're evil. It's okay to call, you know, people crackers, because they want us fighting with each other when all hell breaks loose. The question is, can that be averted with the dollar bubble that's gyrating out of control? It's all coming to a head in 2014, and I don't know the time frames here, but every analyst I talk to says the world has never been in more danger. So Steve Quayle, again, will join us. Let me tell you a few things about Steve Quayle. Steve Quayle is a nationally known radio host and Survive to Thrive and Coast to Coast. He's also a photographer, a best-selling author, filmmaker. He wrote Breathe No Evil, a primer for understanding bioterrorism in '96. He's a former editor of Survival Quest and Security and Survival Chronicles. And the following are some of the more dramatic events Quayle identified long before the mainstream news even had a clue. The reason I'm going to read this is I remember hearing him say and reading him write much of what I'm just looking at here today. Stated in '97 that the following year would bring unprecedented temperatures approaching 130. By June of '98, India hit 129. Declared 1 year prior to the microburst touchdown in the Root National Forest near Steamboat Springs, Colorado, would see winds approaching 50 miles an hour. And then later it happened. And then he talked about the big caldera volcano that they're now mainstream news saying could blow any time, that would basically kill everybody in North America. I mean, this is all just wild stuff, but he said it first. He, of course, was the first to go public with red mercury, a transmutated element that makes softball-sized neutron weapons feasible. Quayle also spelled out in great detail prior to Russian General Alexander Lebed's statement confirming that there were 100 suitcase nuclear weapons missing. At inception, Quayle warned about the spread of new waterborne pathogens and mutations occurring in Earth's oceans due to excreted pharmaceuticals from human waste. Quayle detailed the remarkable accuracy, the possession of weapons of mass destruction that Libya, Iran, Iraq, North Korea, Syria, and Cuba possess. And that's what I've been told by high-level special warfare people, that they've all got weapons. Quayle has stated several years that U.S. would eventually have to occupy Saudi Arabia since they joined the anti-U.S. Confederation. Notice now they're attacking Russia as well. And he now joins us to break all this down. Steve, that's a long intro, but I wanted to do that because you and others, I believe, have helped avert stuff getting a lot worse before. But then when we're able to get the word out to the military and people inside who aren't bad, and then they leak info, by the grace of God, we're able to get a reprieve. The naysayers say, oh, see, all this bad stuff didn't happen. Look at all the incredible stuff that's happened. Almost World War III with the Russians in 2008 in Georgia. Russia threatening to nuke Western Europe last week. The Chinese president saying prepare for war. The globalists trying to stir them up. Our government funding al-Qaeda. All the insane things that are happening, and we're here trying to hold the gates back from the enemy battering ram, and the establishment media wonks are saying, go back to sleep, open the gates. Nothing's bad. You know, if the gates do fall, Steve, man, I really feel sorry for all these idiots because they have no idea what's coming down. Steve, thank you for joining us. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, thank you so much. The more they lie, the more people die. And one of the things that, by the grace of God, I've tried to do and that you've been doing is warning. And what people have got to understand in any covert operation, when there is exposure, there's immediate cancellation. And I believe that when you went public with the whole nuclear story, I followed that. And again, that was the most recent time. Several years before that, there were 29 nukes ready to take out 29 cities in America, and some amazing people from your area in department or area of the military that most people don't even know exist diffused those. That was when, if you remember, Iran was making the bragging about literally the West was going to perish in 29 of our cities. So what we've tried to do and what you've done exceptionally well is educate. But as we're going on the radio today, we're right now where we told everybody we would be. You're getting your sources, I get my sources, and God bless every one of you that brave men and women in the military and law enforcement and intelligence community that speak up and stand up. Because if we were to define today's show, it's freedom's gone by. No longer, as Alex Jones or Steve Quayle, we're not fear mongers. We declare the truth. All of the articles coming out in the mainstream is being ordered to hide this, hide that. That's how they work their evil. That's how they work their death. I'm extremely concerned for Texas, Alex, because as I watch the spread of what I would call biologically engineered pathogenic weapons, it seems like the South is the target zone and target area. And one of the great, if you will, dichotomies to me is that Texas has been under weather warfare. You can see the HARP radio frequency weapons that are being used against Texas. Now you guys have got the, variations of the different blues. People in your own family, one of them, I guess, passed away, and the other one hasn't. So now, is fighting for his life. So we're in a position where I think everything that can happen, that we've warned about, will happen, and we're going right into the middle of the matrix. Now, people have got to understand that they can either submit to the fear and denial, or they can act and take action. I'd say that we're now experiencing in the Fukushima probably the greatest control of one of the most deadly and dangerous events to take place. And I'm on record as stating, I make no apologies for it, Fukushima was not a natural event, nor was the earthquake that initiated it, nor were the beams going into the reactor from above it. That was on YouTube. One of the problems in being ahead of time is nobody believes you at that time. And then when we arrive at the time, how do we take them, Alex, from where you've warned and you've warned and warned and warned, we've warned and warned and warned, they've scorned and scorned and scorned.
But get into geopolitically what's happening. I want to pick your brain about the Middle East, funding al-Qaeda, Syria, what's happening with the bombings in Russia, what you think's behind that, what your intel is, and then your big story, this mystery illness killing people all over the country. They're saying it's flu. I've gone and talked to the doctors and gotten the name. It's staph and strep and basically superbugs, but they're covering it up. Media won't cover it. There's just so much to talk about, but let me just throw out a few of the questions. What's your intel geopolitically, Middle East / Russia / China, with the Chinese president coming out yesterday and saying their main mission is to prepare for war?
Well, Alex, I think that's one of the most critical issues. I can say two things in the mind of the Chinese are ready to go. I have a source, very well placed, and he asked a bunch of his flight students who are training Chinese pilots how to fly. He said, what will you do about the Senkaku Islands? And they said, we will take Japan. And unless people understand, Unit 731 was a biological weapons program of the Japanese government under Dr. Ishii, which was very similar to Operation Paperclip. We took in all the Japanese scientists that were involved in chemical and biological warfare, and also Nanking, the famous rape of Nanking. So there is a virulent hatred between the Chinese and Japanese. Japan is ready to go off the brink and the deep end financially. They're printing money. So geopolitically, what you're seeing is China basically is going to control the entire South China Sea. And we've already prepared. We're moving stuff to Guam and everything. But what's sad is the United States, under this present entity, has displaced probably 200 of our best military leaders. And I want to make a statement. A lot of people get mad when I say stuff ahead of time, and then they go out and do their best, including Northcom, to disparage and do everything they can to try and take away from the validity.
No, you said there was a purge going on 4 years ago.
Yep. And the deal is that what really is troubling, and this is the word I've been preaching. I haven't veered from it, Alex. You know that. Is that before America is destroyed by the Russians and the Chinese, the sins of America's leaders and the sins of the people are going to be made known. What have we seen? We've seen everything. You just detail it.
You've been saying that for 15, 16 years as a mantra, and it is all coming out now.
It is. and the thing that the positioning of nuclear assets and the betrayal. I asked some of my best sources, you can validate this and verify it. I asked, to what degree do the Chinese possess our most top secret technology? And the exact words were, Steve, they have everything. There's only two exceptions where there's still a little bit of control, and that's some of the electrogravitic, the triangular shaped TR3s, TR4s, and stuff like that, and Stargate technology. And we won't go into that today because there's too much immediate stuff. But see, Alex, the problem is when people can't or won't, or because they're too frightened. Everybody tells me I scare people. I say that the best answer to fear is the truth. That's what you based on. That's what everything you do and everything I do and we do, and those of us who are in this world do. But what's hard to get people to understand is that if you give the game plan, then you can teach the people what to look for. So we're going to talk today about all that. I'm really concerned with the situation in Saudi Arabia. You detail Prince Bandar's basically threat. There's rumors out there beyond just the crazy, websites. There's genuine movement of Russian special forces into the Saudi Arabian theater. When I said that we'll occupy Saudi Arabia, that will come to pass. Saudi Arabia already has nuclear weapons. I've talked to Air Force guys that have guarded them. So
No, I know, and that even came out now. We said that years ago because I was told that by my high-level sources that Iran's got the nukes, and the truth is almost discrediting because it's so bizarre. Truth is stranger than fiction. But I'm also seeing a lot of really good things happen. So I believe we can have a reprieve, but I'm going to be honest with you. I have never had a greater feeling of beyond dread, just sadness over everything I see happening, but also at a gut level. And the office has learned to see this around here. I told them the day before the fake bin Laden deal, I said, I have a horrible feeling something really bad's about to happen. And so many other countless times. The day before Sandy Hook, I was pacing around the office, totally upset. And I said, something bad's about to happen. And it's not just that there's bad things happening constantly around the world. It's that it's a major enemy push. And that if we fail that test, they're going to go to the next level. We've been passing a lot of the tests against evil. The problem is that we've been failing a lot of them as well. And the enemy is not in a good position at many levels, but it is in a good position at others because the evil is so over the top. And you've got to understand, it is a dimensional evil, just like the Bible says. It's not Russia, it's not America, it's not China, it's not Iran. It's evil people working who all basically have the same spirit, the same programming, whatever you want to call it. It's like a breed of horses, are known for being strong or known for fast or known for mean or known for being lazy. It's like these globalists are all different races, colors, and creeds, but they have the same mind. They work the same. We're going to go to Steve and get his take on that and to continue with the missing nukes. Because, listen, I almost didn't go on air with that nuke story because it was so credible and it came from such an incredible source. And I've never been able to talk to that source again. And I can't say too much without giving away who they are. But we've been unable to speak to them. I'll just leave it at that. And I knew media, if they picked it up, that they had been given disinfo, but they saw this happen. But if the media ignored it, then not only was what he saw real nukes being transferred out with no paperwork, but that it was part of what our other sources said it was. And all hell broke loose, ladies and gentlemen. With Lindsey Graham coming out that night in a speech that was in CBS News saying a nuke could blow up the very harbor where we were told the stuff was sent, where they, by the way, keep U.S. nukes already. A key special forces command base, which is known to be there, but it's much larger than what is publicly said. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm going to go to Steve here in a moment. It's just that then the number 1, number 2, number 3 nuke generals and admirals were all fired. It goes on and on. There's the headline. Graham, nukes in hands of terrorists could result in bomb coming to Charleston Harbor. Now, I still don't know from my sources what's going on. They just know this went on.